it's Kelly with Pins and Needles Kits, and today we are going to be working on project number 23 from our collection, and I'm really excited because next month is our 2-year birthday. Yay! We're so excited. So we made the Cheyenne Rope Bag for this pattern. It's by Serendipity Studios, and it's a really cute backpack. It has a little pocket in the front, a zipper here to get into the bag, and then it has a zipper on the back. So you can open it up, have a little pocket there, and we made a left and a right so that you can see the zippers are on opposite sides there, and then the strap is adjustable so you can make it a crossbody backpack I can't talk today, or as just a over your shoulder. So we are going to get started making that up. This is Indie Folk by Art Gallery Fabrics, and this is called Dapper by this one's by Coats Fabric. So these are the two choices for this month. We have a very limited quantity of kits left of this one, and then we do have a few of the Dapper as well. Okay, so this is the instruction. She has lots of drawings and a lot of notes and tips for you. And then on the back of it are all the pattern pieces. And I love her idea of tracing the pattern pieces onto freezer paper. So she has you trace the pattern pieces onto freezer paper, and then what's nice about this is it's shiny. On the shiny side, you would iron that onto the fabric, and it sticks to the fabric and makes it really easy to cut out. So you would trace off all these pieces on freezer paper, write down all the different dart placements and different things like that, and then I'm going to show you how to cut out the pattern pieces. So in the instructions, we are going to be using a fusible foam. This one is by Bosel. One side is not fusible and the rough side is fusible. And so what she has you do for most of the pieces is she has you cut out a general size, then lay your fabric down, and then put your pattern piece on there and iron. Well, you're going to iron this on, then put your pattern piece on and iron that on. And because of that, shiny side will stick slightly to your fabric. It makes it easy to cut out. But I want to show you something, it's called fussy cutting. This is the front of the backpack here. All right, and I've already put the pocket on, and I'll talk about the darts and all that kind of stuff in a few minutes. But the main thing, oh, there's a thread, let me cut that. The main thing you want to do is if you have a print like this, you kind of want to make sure that the pattern matches. And so I did something called fussy cutting, where basically I took another piece of fabric and made sure that it matched pretty much to the fabric behind the pocket. And so this would be the flap here, and so you also want that flap to match up as well. So let me show you how to do the flap. I went ahead and cut out the actual size of the fabric because I wanted to make sure that I got that fabric exactly where I wanted the pattern to be. Now, the reason you don't usually do this is because if you put your iron on here right now, you're going to have your iron sticking to your Bosel. So I'm going to get a pressing cloth and press all this down and cut it out, and then we'll continue with the flap. So I ironed this onto the Bosel and cut it out. And then this is the lining, and so all of the lining pieces need to have interfacing fused onto them. So I fused the interfacing onto this, and then I transferred my snap placement with a pencil there, and then I'm going to take my snap, and I'm going to take the backing part, and I'm going to line this up, it's got a little rough spot, with my placement, so I can get it on there. Come on. Turn it over. All right, right there. And then I'm going to mark these two lines right here, and then I will snip those with my scissors. If I can find my scissors. There we go. So we're going to just snip a little snip out of that, just enough to kind of get the little prongs in there. So I'm going to take the this part of the snap, and we're going to put this through those holes, okay? Then we're going to take the backing and put that on, and then you're going to bend the prongs either out or in. It really doesn't matter. You might need some pliers. I've still got enough, little bit of strength to push it through. and then there you have your snap on there. And so then the next thing we're going to do is put this right sides together, and we're going to sew starting here, go around, and end right there. Once we have that, we're going to turn it, and we're going to sew this onto the backpack. Okay, so what I did was after I sewed the flap together, I buttoned it onto the pocket so I'd know exactly where to place it, and then I just top stitched it down. Now when you're sewing the pocket and everything on, you haven't sewn these darts yet. I just sewed part of them for this so that I could show you how it works. But when you, if you look at this, we've got where our zipper is going to be, and so we haven't cut that fabric yet. And then when you do your darts, what you want to do when you sew those together is you fold it in half, so that they're right next to each other, and you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance right down each one of these. So that's what I've done here. You can see those. And so you're going to do that all the way around on this after you put the zipper and the pocket on. So I'm going to put this aside and show you what's next. So this is the bag back, and so we traced out the pattern piece, ironed the fabric to the fusible, and then cut out around the pattern piece and peeled the pattern piece off. We left the fabric there where that cutout is, and we are going to put the zipper in now. So what we're going to do is we've cut an 8.5 by 11 rectangle. We're going to turn this right sides together, and we want it centered from side to side here, and then we want it to be 6 inches from the top of the bag. A little bit more. 6 and 6. All right. And then after we do that, we're going to, I'll probably just tape this down, flip it over, and we're going to sew around this area right here. Okay, so I sewed right up next to that bosal all the way around. So when you flip it over, here's where your zipper is going to go. So you're going to take this and you're going to slice through the center to about 1/4 inch from each end, and then you're going to cut right into those corners as close as you can get without cutting your stitches. And you're cutting through both layers of fabric. So once you've done that, you are then going to take the pocket and turn it to the inside. This, and then you're going to press this really, really good so that you don't see the lining on the outside. So I'm going to take this over to the iron, press it, and then I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've got that pressed to the back like so, and it takes a little bit of work and a lot of steam, and then we're going to then put the zipper underneath here. And in the kit for this pocket, we actually sent just a regular zipper, and we didn't feel like you needed to have a sport zipper in the back here. But so on with your kit, you have 2 zippers, one a sport zipper, one a regular one. So you'll put the regular zipper back in this pocket. So you center this in here, pin it, and then we're going to top stitch twice all the way around this, and then we cut off the excess. Whenever you're doing a zipper that's longer than the pattern, make sure that you're using a nylon zipper, because if you used a metal zipper, obviously you're going to break a needle if you try to sew over it. So I'll get this sewn together and get this pocket finished. Okay, so I've sewn my zipper in. I did a double top stitch around it, and then I turned it over and I trimmed off the excess. What I'm going to do now is just pull this part of the pocket up, and I'm going to sew around these edges right here with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once I've done the pocket, I'm ready to then start putting everything together. Now, you do the zipper on the front of the bag the exact same way. You just don't have that pocket, but you'll do the zipper the same way. So we've started doing the darts. So we'll do all 8 darts all the way around the bag. Then we have our lining. We've interfaced it, and we've done all the darts on the lining. Once we've done that, we place this right sides together, and then we're going to put our zipper in. So I'm going to show you how to do the zipper once I get all these darts stitched up. Okay, so once you have sewn all the darts in the front of the bag and then also the lining, you are then going to take and put the lining right sides together with the bag. and you're going to match up all the darts, and it's going to be kind of snug, and that's okay. You'll just pin it together or clip it, whichever, and then once you have it all put together like that, you're going to flip it over and carefully sew around the opening where the zipper is going to go. And then just like the other zipper, you will open this up and turn the lining through the hole and press it really good. So I'll get this pressed and then we'll put the zipper in. We've turned the lining to the inside and pressed this really well. And then what you want to do is you want to smooth this lining out and pin it to the sides, matching up your darts and all that. And it's going to be too big because of the bulk of the bag. So you just smooth it out as much as you can, pin all the way around the edges, and then you're going to just cut this excess off. And then what we'll do is sew just right around the outer edge of this whole bag to hold the lining in place. Once we've done that, then we will take our zipper and insert our zipper just as if we did on the last one. So I'll get this all sewed together and then we'll get this little bag put together. I sewed around, cut all the excess off, and then I put my zipper in. So I have my zipper in, and next is the little trigger clasp. So we're going to show you how to do that. So you do the straps the exact same way. So this technique, it's just there are two different, I think the size is even a little bit different. So you cut these, you cut two pieces, I think it's 3 inches by 4 inches. You interface those and then you sew them together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, okay? Then you press it open and then you press this over until it lines up with the 1/2 inch seam allowance. And the reason you do that is it doubles up that fabric so that it's nice and sturdy for what you're getting ready to do. So once you've done that, then you fold this over and then you're going to top stitch, double top stitch on each side. So you end up with a piece like this, okay? And then you cut this down to the size required and you slide this into the trigger clasp and pin it. And then this is going to be basted onto, I believe it's, I have to get the pattern out, down here like so. So where your strap is going to be. So when you make your strap, you're going to do the exact same thing. It's just a little bit wider. And so you have two pieces, I think they're 3.5 inches wide by the width of the fabric. You interface both pieces, sew them together, 1/2 inch seam allowance, press it open, turn and press, and then double top stitch. So get all that done and then we'll put all the straps and everything on your bag. So you're going to baste this trigger one down here right next to the bottom dart, about a 1/2 inch or so away from it. And then you have these zipper pulls. And so you make the zipper pulls the same way you made the straps in this one. You just follow the instructions as to the size. And then once you've made them, you're going to then take this and you're going to rotate that, open that seam to the back. And you're going to put this right above and below your zipper and top stitch it down, and then that gives you something to hold on to when you're raising and lowering your zipper. So that once you finish sewing around the zipper, I would recommend, because this is pretty heavy stuff, I would recommend changing your needle because sewing over that plastic can really dull your needle up. So I'm going to go change the needle on my machine and finish this. Okay, so next is adding the strap to this piece right here. So we've gotten, this has been fused to the bosal. And we have our lining piece. So we center the strap here, put the lining piece down, and then we're going to sew around this edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then we'll attach this to the front of the bag. Okay, we're going to trim this edge right here, kind of where the corners are. And then you'll just turn this right side out, push out all the edges, and then we'll press it and top stitch it. Once we have it top stitched, then we will get the bag, and we're going to pin this to the top of the bag and baste it down. Oh, okay. So we have the back with the lining basted on. And we have our front with our strap attached to it. Now this is extremely important when you go to put this together. Make sure you unzip the zipper before you sew the bag to the front. If you don't, you won't be able to get into your bag. So we unzip the zipper, and you're going to turn this over and you're going to invert the darts so that it's like so. And then you're going to kind of tuck your strap all inside here. It looks like a little turtle shell. And then you're going to match up all your corners and edges and sew that together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So get this all pinned, and then I'll sew that together. And then you have to make binding for the inside. So you have to make this on the bias because you want it to be stretchy. When you cut on the bias, which is at a 45, the fabric then has some give to it. So you cut out your strips, and when you sew them together, you're going to lay them down basically at a 90-degree angle from each other and sew across, and then that way when you fold it out you have a nice smooth seam, and then you're going to fold this in half, wrong sides together, and press it. And so this will be our binding to cover up our raw edges inside of our bag. So I'll get the bag sewn together and get the binding on so you can see how it looks. Once you have sewn the bag together, you're going to sew the binding to the seam allowance, sewing it from the back side, and then when you get finished you're going to flip this over to the other side and press it, and then you can top stitch it or hand stitch it down, whatever you'd like to do to finish up that inside part. Okay, and so after that we just have to finish up the strap and we're finished. So we got the bag turned. It turned out so cute, and now we're just got to finish by putting the hardware on here. So you take the double slider, you put the end of the strap through there, go over that middle part, and like that. Then you're going to take your D-ring, slide your D-ring on, and then the last thing you do is you have to slide this. You kind of take the first part that you slid through the D-ring and make a big loop right there. Can you see that? Then you're going to go, see, it's kind of hard to do with the camera, but see if I can get this done. Alright, you'll take this, go underneath here. Once you get it underneath there, it's got to come back out the other side. Like that. And then we will finish off just by, you know, turning that and top stitching it, and we're finished. And then you're able to adjust your strap to whatever length you want. And you take the D-ring and you clip it to the trigger. So, and you have your bag finished. So that is the Cheyenne Rope Bag.